Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I'm looking forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan and I were lucky enough to sit down in person with the wonderful Shauna Pelton. Today, we are going to do a 5-minute clinic on the word fear.
Fear.
Yes, that one.
Fear. So a lot of people say that fear is the number one reason, the number one thing that holds everyone back. But first, I'm supposed to
Yes, you should.
plug the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, the Hyperconscious Nation. You go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com. You click on join hashtag Hyperconscious Nation. It's going to prompt you with questions that will increase your self-awareness and our awareness of you to make sure you are a good fit for the group. Folks, it is awesome. Honestly, I've been doing social media now for 3.5 years, if not 4. And it's so awesome to go and post about personal development and literally know for sure that everyone's going to be excited about it, that everyone's into personal development. It's such a different feel in that private group. So please join us if you are hyperconscious. If you are not, don't.
We try to go live at least almost every day. I know you mentioned that in the last episode, but we record these episodes on Monday, and after we record the episodes, we go live. So it is Monday right now.
Yeah.
As we're recording this, we're going to go live after this episode. So.
Yes, we are. Meet us on over there.
All right, let's talk about fear.
Let's do fear. Okay, so I have a flashcard where I prepared for this for Kevin. Okay, so it is universally accepted that fear holds us back more than anything else.
Yes.
But we rarely call it that to ourselves. What do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
That we don't call it fear?
Yeah, like why don't we admit it?
Because there is something taboo about saying I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely feel like people don't like to say, again, I was afraid of flying for however many years, and I made the excuse that I just didn't want to travel. I didn't have interest in traveling. Well, it's a lot easier to say that than it is to say I'm afraid of planes.
Right.
Especially
do you think to other people or to yourself?
I think I wouldn't necessarily say people don't admit their fears to themselves. I would say they know what they are. They just don't admit them to other people. You know what I mean?
The moment that you admit you have a fear, now you acknowledge it and you could work to overcome it. But if you don't admit it to yourself,
you have to have a reason to overcome it. That's the thing. Like I always say, chase your fears if they matter. If you're afraid of snakes, and you know what I mean, and it's not holding you back,
right? Unless
I don't
you want
think
to be a snake tamer,
right? I don't necessarily think it's something that you should go,
Is that
necessarily
a thing?
do. Yes, snake charmer.
Snake charmer.
But if you're afraid of planes and you want to be a motivational speaker, or you want to be a photographer, or a musician, that's a fear that you will have to overcome, 100%.
So I have 4 steps here, and I want your take on each.
Sure.
Number 1 is locate their fears. So how can we help the listeners locate their fears? And then more importantly, which fears matter? Like, which are the ones that are holding them back?
Again, this all goes back to reverse engineering what you want. So I think most people fear rejection. That's a common one.
Right.
I think most people fear certain levels of uncertainty. They also fear not being enough and judgment. Like there are some common fears that I think people have.
Totally.
But I think most of those go back to not enoughness.
So how did you locate your fears?
I just stopped making excuses. I just figured out, like, what have I always made excuses for? And I know when I'm making the excuses. You know when I'm making the excuses.
What is something that you're making excuses about now
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
that you think you're making excuses about now?
Honestly, so we've been talking about this, getting a virtual assistant.
Right.
I'm doing a lot of post-production work, and it's taking up a lot of my time, and I think there's fear of uncertainty of, guys, I take extreme pride in making sure these episodes are edited correctly and the YouTube videos are next level and the frame is right and the audio levels are right. So I'm afraid to hand that off to somebody else who might not have the same level of passion that I have.
We are also afraid of it costing too much money.
True.
So think about it this way. Fear is the killer of all action.
Yeah.
If we are afraid that the VA, virtual assistant, can't do it as well as Kevin, and we don't have the money to sustain it, we aren't going to take action and do it.
I made a meme a while ago that it was this like countryside, and there was a path with a fence on either side, and along the fence I wrote fear, 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 all the way up the fence.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
And then the actual grass was your dreams.
I remember you thought that would do well.
I thought it was going to kill it. I was like, this is the greatest
Right.
meme ever. Didn't do well.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll throw it back
23
up.
likes.
I'll take it down and throw it back up. But I truly believe fear is the walls at which your life either starts or ends.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%. So the 4 steps, just because we're running out of time here.
that's
The timer's about to go off. Holy crap. Okay, number 1 is locate your fear. Okay, locate your fears. Number 2, determine the root cause of those fears. Okay, so we'll go into a quick example of that. Number 3, admit that you're afraid of that specific thing to yourself and to others. It'll feel good to admit it to others. Number 4 is, and then actually work to overcome it. So what is something... I guess what was the root cause of your fear of flying?
Heights.
Okay.
And like once you get in, there's no like you can pull over in a car
Right.
and get out and get some air. Once you're on the flight, you're on the flight.
Yeah.
And it's like my mind is always thinking about like what is that noise? Oh, what is that turbulence? What is this? What does this mean?
Right.
So for me, it's heights.
Unknown. You didn't know. I remember you saying that. You don't know how planes work.
Yeah, that was it too.
So
Uncertainty.
and as soon as you learned how planes work,
It got better.
it got better, right?
It's still not great.
For me, the statistics help.
Yeah.
But that's 'cause I'm
Statistics
a
don't
numbers
matter.
guy. So right. And then actually overcoming your fears. How did you do that? How did
Y
you,
power. Attach a Y power so great that you don't have any other option. If you want to accomplish this dream, you have to face this fear.
Right. So create a dream that will force you to overcome
Yes.
the fears that are holding you back most.
Yes.
Fire. Last thing. What are you most afraid of now?
What am I most afraid of now?
Why? And how are you working to overcome it?
You wanna let's do it. I
Please.
think I'm probably most afraid of public speaking right now
Hmm.
because I haven't done it. And how am I overcoming it? By booking 2 events and just figuring it out. That's how.
Well, speaking of,
Speaking
July
of,
25th.
Yeah, July 25th. So if you're listening to
That
this,
was not anticipated. That was not planned.
if you're listening to this, it is the Monday of the event.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're listening to this, it's Monday. This event is on Thursday at the Groton Inn, Groton, Massachusetts from 6:30 to 9. Hopefully, if you're listening to this, we still have tickets available, but check anyway.
Right.
Because we can make extra room. Yes, I will be speaking on cultivating confidence. Alan will be speaking on how to look as good on the outside as you are on the inside. And again, I'm terrified of speaking.
Come see Kevin have a panic attack on
Yes,
stage.
Hopefully I won't. And then September 7th,
Yes, September 7th
going to be
in
speaking in
Florida.
Florida. We don't know the exact location yet, but it's going to be a full day of speaking. This is going to be a legitimate event. We're trying to fill this room with 500 people. I have no doubt that we will do it. So tickets we will let you guys know as soon as we know what the deal with the tickets are. But again, those are fears of mine for sure.
Right.
And how long? It took me 160 episodes before I wasn't afraid to podcast.
I know.
Guys, just because you're afraid of something, just because you fear it, does not mean you should never do it. Attach a Y power, like prove yourself right. Like prove yourself right that you can face your fears and it's not the end of the world. That was a huge thing for me, and I'm so glad I did it.
10-second blip.
Oh, my goodness. Caroline Lozo, now that she's married, said this: fear is a failure. Fear is a liar. And I think when I started realizing that my fears were actually lies that I've been telling myself my whole life,
Right.
and I really wanted to find out what was true, and I started knocking down my fears, I realized that, everything you want is on the other side of your fears.
Amen to that.
You dig?
I do. This is going to be the fastest ever.
Sure.
Fear is the green light, not the red light. on the other side of your fear is who you've always wanted to be or who you've always wanted to be with.
Ooh, fire. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Up next, we have a very special Small Talks episode on the word trust. I have heard people say so many times, I have trust issues. I firmly believe you have issues with trusting people who don't deserve it.
Oh,
Wow.
my goodness.
Wow.
Wow. Trust is the foundation of any great relationship, truly. If the floor isn't going to hold up, you're going to be so uncertain, you're going to be freaking out all the time. The floor that's holding your relationships up is trust, I believe.
Speaking of the floor holding up, after this episode, I'm going to go eat a macaroni and cheese pizza and some truffle fries. By the time I get done eating that, the floor may not hold up. Ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you on Wednesday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.